and have the patience to listen to me, because I have something to say that is from one side very relevant, as Patrizia said, but from the other side, I must admit, that I am honest with you, that we are at the very beginning phase in measuring educational poverty. So, this is why I'm here, and this is why I said in the title that it's a challenge for public statistics. Not official, not only official statistics, but public statistics. And this is because, as we will see during the presentation, there are general aspects, obviously. We need to define and measure, but we need to have a special glance at the audience and data we have, trying to understand that there are not only issues of knowledge of the phenomenon, but also issues of communication. Then we will go through a few case studies that I have developed together with my colleagues at the University of Pisa, particularly at the Center for Advanced Statistics for the Development, that is entitled to Camillo Dabu, that is an inter-university center, Florence, Pisa, and in Siena and Tuscany one. Giulio Gellini is part of it. And also with researchers from the National Statistical Institute during the few months since March the 1st, that is my birthday as ISTAT director. I would like to share with you conclusions, final remarks, and I would like to share with you a sort of roadmaps, things to do, because we are involving INVALSI and other non-governmental organizations and other institutions in order to define a network and a group to help finally this educational poverty index. Now, there are surroundings, as you can imagine, and do we want to measure it? And my answer is yes, because we cannot manage without a measuring of a phenomenon. But educational poverty is not easily definable. We know it. And we know also that what is poorly defined is also poorly measured. So we must be aware of it. We are talking about our future, our children, our adolescents, our young people as a whole. So we want to measure it, yes. So we need definitions. We need reliable interlocutors, an audience, accurate data, accurate in a statistical sense of the word, but not only. Then we need statistical knowledge and the ability to communicate our results, because the agora, the audience, is composed by the school system, is composed by non-governmental agencies, is composed by parents, by the educating community, by teachers, and also by official statisticians and by public statisticians as well. Now, coming to definitions. What we read in the current literature is that educational poverty is a particular kind of deprivation of poverty. And it pertains to the sphere of human development. Consider the International Declaration of the Rights of Children and Adolescents of 1989. Consider the Italian Constitution, Article 3, okay? So there is an environment where the human development is protected, encouraged, and considered as a goal. And if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, number 1, number 2, and number 4, you understand that this concept of not poverty in education is underlining, is a sort of overarching theme that we have behind the development goals we have. So, this is true, but at the same time, it is a complex and multidimensional phenomenon. As all poverty, this is already stated, It has articulated in many dimensions, and often it is a latent phenomenon, that is, does not have manifestations that are all easily observable and immediately return complete evidence. Obviously, we have indicators of it. The grade we had at school, I mean, my son had a 5 in maths. Oh my God, is it educational poverty? Not only maybe, but we have some indicators outside the phenomenon. And there are indicators that aggregate school and training biographies at the regional and national level, like, such as the school dropout rate, implicit and explicit early school leaving. And then, obviously, there is a strong correlation with the percentage of individuals below the economic poverty line, but also it is correlated with the offer of services we have on the territory of reference, because the poverty and poverty in the possibility to develop is strongly related not only to my individual features. I can be brave, I can be smart, but if I am living maybe in the surrounding of Caserta, let me say like this, or in another periphery of a metropolitan area, maybe my smartness can find different ways of development. On the other side, even if I am not so smart, but I live in the cozy environment where the services are offered without paying so much, with an educational community so fond of me and of my future development, my situation can be very different. So it is a micro phenomenon, but at the same time is a meso phenomenon and also a macro phenomenon. When I'm talking about Italy, educational poverty of our country in comparison with the French one, or the English one, the American one as a whole, I am doing a sort of macro. I am seeing what I see in a macro perspective. But if I'm considering a municipality in Tuscany, or a part of the Rome town, or a part of Milan, I am doing something that is closer and closer to the so-called meso level, where the educating community works, when proximity is important. So, not easy, but essential. So this is obviously the reason why we are here to talk. We are engaged in a discussion with the INVALSI, and we are engaged in a discussion with Save the Children and other institutions. We are engaged in a discussion with the National Service for Social Security, and so on. Because the final goal is to have public and official statistics offering sure data, not dirty data, but important data to allow for comparison in time and in space, with definitions which are not tailored or self-made, but shared and useful also to the children, students, adolescents themselves, because we are aware that without a participating process, we are running the risk to impose a sort of top-down indicator, not a bottom-up one, and this top-down logic can give only a dry picture of the very fresh and complex and important reality. So, we have said, and you have understood, I think, that the community level is important, and that the theme requires contribution from sociology, pedagogy, economics, and statistics. I am a statistician, so I can give you only the perspective that I can support with my knowledge and my experience. And now, in this presentation, I am showing you what statistics has done up to now, okay? What official and academic statistics has done up to now to have a territorial mapping of this phenomenon. So, has been considered the phenomenon as the privation of the ability to learn, experiment, develop and flourish skills, talents and aspirations. And this is important because then we have to find out the elementary indicators of these aspects from official statistics. It is a meso-macro phenomenon, reflecting the general difficulty experienced by people in their own places, and is a multidimensional phenomenon. So I'm looking for several dimensions, and then these dimensions I'm looking for indicators. Reliable interlocutors. Official statistics, you know, I know, many here know, are statistical producers belonging to the national statistical system. This can be a national or an international European statistical system, or even wider. Instead, when I'm talking about public statistics, I'm including many others. I am considering here the impresa sociale con I bambini for the Italian context, just to make an example, or Save the Children, or UNICEF, just to call out some examples. So there are statistical producers that perform functions or services of public interest, not necessarily belonging to the national statistical system. This for you maybe doesn't mean so much, but for me it's very relevant, because when I know that the European Data Act contains inside the aspiration, and not more than an aspiration, to be honest, to have business to government data, citizen to government data. It means that they are attempting to involve the civil society organization to build up a sort of more larger system, to build up an infrastructure of knowledge and research to specific, to be able to give life to important phenomena, but working under the principles of data reuse, involving the respondents or the institutions as data donors, and also the individual citizens and teachers and pupils and students as data donors. So this means that we have a little bit to enlarge our perspective and to consider official statistics as a sort of data steward inside this, if I would like to be a bit modern, I would call it ecosystem of data on children and adolescents. But I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and I don't like to call new things with new names without saying in what they are different from the old ones. In any case, we have the need of building up an infrastructure in some way with several actors. And then we are talking about children, and there are many players on the field, a lot of public statistics, and we have here the danger of perception. Everyone has his own or her own personal equation, we say in statistics. So we have the perception of inflation rate, and then there is the inflation rate as it is measured. So we will have, for sure, the perception of the fact that children are flourishing in Italy against the evidence of the numbers, or vice versa. So we need to be very careful on it, because there is no literacy, not enough literacy to understand the phenomena at now. So at the end of the day, it is better to argue with reliable data, very reliable. And so we need accurate data, so we need to base our reasoning on surveys carried out with high quality standards. And this means that we need official statistics, because we have high quality standards. INVALSI has high quality standards. Others, maybe, yes, maybe not, who knows? They need to be, to have credits, or to have the same standards, to reconcile their production to standards with which we can compare the the results in time and space. So we need to use certified statistical registers. And so we are paving the way to have institutional collaborations and to build up a panel of experts. And this is what we have inside our ISTAT house. The willingness to build up this panel of experts. Please, you will receive a letter just to make it concrete. Now, I don't want to do it very long and boring, but definition, selection of individual indicators, analysis of the statistical relations, normalization of the original metrics, aggregation and weighting of in the normalized metrics. Then we need a sensitivity analysis. We need to have dimensions, elementary indicators, composite indicators. We have to judge different and several composite indicators. In ISTAT we have a sort of mainstream towards what we call the Mazzotta-Pareto indicators, but it is not the only solution. Now, at the end, I think that we need to use statistical tools that everyone can understand. And this is an issue, because when we deal with multidimensional phenomena like this one, we need to have time to consolidate our knowledge. I don't know how much do you know of the indicators we use in poverty, for measuring poverty. Maybe you have heard poverty rate, at risk of poverty rate, maybe poverty gap, maybe quintile ratio, and so on. So have these four to characterize the poverty situation from a distributional point of view. So they are the summarization of the distribution of income or consumption. We spent, I would say, 20 years. We have not so much time. So we need to focus our attention to find out a couple, 3, 4, a dashboard of indicators to monitor the phenomenon. And maybe we need to use charts and give examples. And this is why today I have for you 3 case studies. The white of your eyes to me. We are not presenting data on children from 0 to 6, from 0 to 13, because we can't until now. We have to manage also privacy issues. What we have here is an insight on what we have for persons from 15 to 29, in one case, and for persons from 12 to 19. That is, we have a first population that is this age group considered in a large-scale survey, that is the daily life survey, that is under the European rules, and it is a large sample survey done by ISTAT. And then we have, for this target from 12 to 19, a survey done together with the Ministry of Education in the schools. And so we have students. Be careful, students doesn't mean young persons of the same age, because even in Italy, even in Europe, not every children, adolescents, or whatever, and not every goes to school. It is maybe science fiction for you, but this perception, science fiction, is far from the reality. We have Chinese communities, immigrant communities, and also Italian communities where children do not go to school. So being student is not implicitly included in being young. Okay? So these 3 case studies are, first of all, one in Europe, a very large one, just to find out something. We have here a composite index, that is the famous Mazzotta-Pareto index. And we considered these pillars: participation, strength and skill, resilience, and standard of living. they are four, and they are the four windows we are opening on the phenomenon. I would like you to follow me in this. Statisticians are not liars, are not prophets, are scientists trying to give a perspective on real life using tools. I mean, this is a tool. It is not a dogma, okay? And as far as we are producing data according to different sets of tools, maybe we can understand better, and maybe we can offer to the policy action different scenarios on which be aware, and on which do reasonings, and on which take decisions. This must be the perspective we use. We are not believers in a sort of statistical faith. The official statistics is not like this. So these are four pillars, and we have considered educational poverty as the result of these four pillars, and this is the first step of definition. And participation of youngsters to the social life. Resilience is the development of an attitude of trusting oneself and one's ability. Standard of living, the ability to lead an inclusive, healthy, and safe life, having an adequate standard of living. Friend and skill, having friends, you mean. The ability to establish a relationship with others and achieve those skills needed to succeed in this fast-paced world. So, these are the concepts. Then concepts are, for an official statistician, translated into questions, and then into items, and then into variables, and then finally, as you can see here, from these data sources, on the extreme right on your side, you have the acronym of the survey we have used to obtain the variable. So we have household budget survey, European survey on living income and living conditions, the PISA survey, okay, and then the information communication technology survey, and then we have administrative data from the ministry, I mean, multi-source, multi-mode, several aspects, okay? So we are modern here, we are doing data integration. So, after that, we need something to reduce the dimensions, because until here, I mean, we can have several percentages, several means, so several different indicators, and we must look at the elementary indicators. And we should encourage policymakers and decision makers to make their own integration of the indicators, because giving different weights to the dimensions and to the elementary indicators leads us to different results. This is obvious. This is nothing magic. This is rational. This is what we have to say. But our policymakers, our decision makers, in many cases also our teachers, our professors, are not so able to decide how to weight. So it is our responsibility to try to find out aggregations, different ones, and to leave at the same time the individual values in order to make them increase in their statistical literacy. Because if we are doing more and more obtaining results which are complex, we need also a complex fond audience. Otherwise, we are not meeting offer, demand and supply, and we are not having the right price, and we are not doing a good service to community. Because the other side of the moon is that all of this is costing money. It's costing money, it's costing time. So, it must be useful. Otherwise, we have no reason other than the academic research, but this is done by universities, not only by universities, but surely not only by the ISTAT. Okay, we need to produce official data. Okay, what is the composite index? This is an example that it is widely known. Obviously, we have ingredients. We have something that is done melting the ingredients. It is a different thing. Okay. So obviously, if I am a specialist of chocolate, a specialist of milk, a specialist of flour, I would like to go inside the fourth pot. If I want to have a good hot chocolate, and that's enough for me, I don't need to understand specifically the four small pots, what the four small pots have inside. Now, this Mazzotta-Pareto index is a standardized one. It's a sort of mean done on standardized values of our individual elementary data. What we have to consider here is that it is quite sensitive to the different variability we have among the elementary indicators, and I don't want to go in many details here. I want to show you the results we can have. And these are European countries. Not all the European countries are represented. You have here some gray areas because we haven't found all the data we needed for all the 4 dimensions for every country. But here, our final goal was to have an idea of the colors related to the educational poverty of youngsters as defined by these 4 pillars. And the 100 value is the average value of the Europe, and the orange shade and the reddish one, the darker the red, the worse the situation, the worse. And we can see here that according to our figures, Italy is worse than Spain. Northern countries are obviously best from many points of view, and then there is here an area where educational poverty, as defined by these 4 dimensions, is not giving us good results. Obviously, country level is a very macro level. We have to go inside because different colors means that inside the countries something different, something heterogeneous is happening. And we have, only for Italy, sorry about that, we have some data obtained in the first case with a 4-domain situation as it is for Europe, and in the other case for a 2-domain situation. In this case, 4 domains, daily life survey, the 4 domains are the same than before. In the other case, the following 2 domains, the survey is on students done last spring. Last spring we presented the results. The results were presented, I remember. So the reference time is 2021 in both cases. Starting from here, we have considered that maybe it would be interesting to go towards a very detailed geography. And we consider that there is a classification done by the Eurostat that is called the degree of urbanization of local administrative units 1, 2, and also 3, that corresponds to our regions, provinces, and municipalities. I'm talking about Italy, but when I say local administrative unit 1, 2, and 3, we have a correspondence in areas, in sub-regional areas of Europe. So for us, this degree of urbanization allows to classify the municipalities into cities, suburbs, and rural areas in each Italian region. Okay, so this is what we have done, and using the aspects of daily life. And these are the domains and individual indicators. They are a little bit different than the European study. because in case of Europe, you need to go towards the bulk of common indicators, otherwise you cannot do comparison. It is obvious. So you can see here in several colors to make it happier the single indicators and single variables we can use. You must say why 3 times satisfaction and not. Okay, I can understand. We have done with what we have. This is why we need a network. This is why we need to share ideas, because to the question why 3 times satisfaction and not another item, I cannot give an answer because I am not a sociologist, I am not a pedagogist, I am not. But if you say to me, look, the most important influence factor is that, I can do my best to find out credible numbers or credible indicators to put it inside the dimension. This is why I'm saying that we need a multidisciplinary network and research infrastructure. And this is not because I'm a professor and so I would like to do things, to do sky research. This is why, because our youngsters are our future. You know, there are not so many. We have to take care of them, okay? Now here we can play with numbers, and this is my realm, because we can have a composite index for each domain, a composite index among domains for each type of areas. We can do several disaggregation. Here what we have. Okay, rows are Italian regions, columns are the cities, the suburbs, and the rural areas. 100 is the vector of the averages. Values greater than 100 indicate above average levels of educational poverty, the reddish we had before, the reddish areas we had before, and value less than 100 indicate levels below the average of educational poverty. And these are the maps. I have time, only 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay. These are the maps. So let me first of all explain to you how the Gurba classification works. You see the 3 maps, 3 Italy, with a lot of spots with different colors. Look at this, first of all. So we have 255 municipalities that are classified cities. It means that at least they have 1,500 inhabitants per square kilometer, with at least 50,000 inhabitants. So there are density, population densities, and number of inhabitants levels in order to define, to qualify a municipality as a city. I'm not living in a city. I'm living in a municipality of the province of Prato called suburbs. That means that you have a smaller density and a smaller number of inhabitants. All others are called rural areas. So you see that in cities, suburbs, and rural areas, the situation is quite different. The way to interpret the numbers is more or less the same. So we have 100, that is the average level, below and above. The reddish areas and darker level of red means that, okay, we have an hotspot, be careful, there is a problem over there. And for what concerns the cities, I would say that the scheme that already we have in our brain, that is the north-south divide, is working, okay? Being in Naples is not, from the point of view of educational poverty related to the 4 dimensions we have considered, tested by the indicators we have chosen, and so on, is not a good thing. But when you go to suburbs and rural areas, watch out that inside the regions, things are very, very heterogeneous. And our Lombardy is not the best. Our Sicily is not always the worst. So, we need to have this in mind when we build up our expectation, and obviously we need also to build up a way of communicating the results we have. Yes, more or less we can say that maybe suburbs and rural areas are meeting our expectation of the South Divide, but with some exceptions inside. Instead, cities are not repeating the scheme. And this is for 4 dimensions. Now for 2. 2 is for students, okay? And the survey is children and young people, behavior, attitudes and future projects, Italy and Ministry of Education, daily life of students, of children enrolled in school, topics related to schools, relationships with friends and family, use of social media, citizenship and future projects of the new generations. So, they are relevant for measuring the education of poverty, but we have another perspective, obviously, other data, other perspective. And here, to fill out the participation and relationship domain, we have decided this set of items. Obviously, we have percentages done on the survey data. Okay. I have here my favorite, that is the green one. Students who have good grades in school and who have missed the relationship with the teacher. That's incredible that even today we have this. I remember that when I was a young student, I read a very famous for teachers maybe, a book written by Lorenzo Milani, that is, it's not a book, it's a letter to professoressa, full of charts and data and reflections on what is going on and why the relationship between teachers and pupils, this relationship was not as large as we expected. And today we have the same. Maybe other factors, but maybe we have to consider that we have done jumps from the post-Second World War situation in our schools, but maybe now we have to fight with another kind of poverty, that is knowledge on digital tools, and we have maybe another kind of educational poverty that is related to the usage of internet with problems of cybersecurity, of cyberbullying, and so on. In any case, the domain resilience was tested and it comprised these items. Obviously, we are limited also by the data we collected. The survey was not done to measure educational poverty, to be honest. Like daily life survey is not done to measure educational poverty, and this is another issue. But we have started from what we had. And again here, the logic of aggregating indicators, these are the results. And we have not the same maps for cities, suburbs, and rural areas in the regions. Nothing scandalous. It is quite obvious. Even if, in some sense, we are again seeing the same movie. Be careful inside regions. Being in cities is not the same that being in suburbs and rural areas as well are another matter. In rural areas, maybe you are far from services, and this can make a difference. So, summing up all this talk, what I can say, I see that you are in some sense interested in commenting on the data, and this makes me happy. I'm not here in the position of giving you the slides and starting tables to comment them, but this is an indication to me that says that it is important to do a network to define the phenomenon. And after that, we have done our best in the definition, you can go on. And this is important, and this is what we need to do. And another aspect I must be honest with you, and I must admit that what we have done is completely detached until now. We had some experience of PISA using of PISA data in the European example, but not here. Now we have to integrate the INVALSI data. And this is a challenge from many points of view. But it's a beautiful challenge because INVALSI data can allow us to introduce a longitudinal perspective in our saying. And this is now missing in these two surveys because they are not longitudinal surveys. No the daily life, no the school student survey. So we need to do it in the future, but soon. So we need to create a common space of infrastructure to collect all educational poverty statistics, public and official indicators and case studies, and then finally, as we have done for the gross domestic product and for the beyond GDP logic, we need to consult the stakeholders and produce true numbers and possibly relevant for policy numbers. So many thanks. I have here some references, but not the whole reference list I could offer you. I am studying this issue also outside the National Statistical Institute. The mapping I have shown you are maps I have done for a paper for Politiche Sociali, published by the Mulino, that is in print, I can say, under the impress now. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.